Hello everybody, so today we're taking a look at my favorite pets on the Untamed 2.0. So when I made the original video, which is now very outdated, back then Val the Untamed had a 15% damage bonus. So in PvP here, it does them in the PvP lobby, that way I could show off all the pets that I like, because I'm going to go over like each individual pet and all the pet families, and on this character I don't have all the pets, so yeah, I just wanted to mention that. So, in PvE environments, which this video will be based off of, we're going to cover pretty much every area of PvE. So, open world and then the instance content and all that. So yeah, Val the Untamed used to have a 15% damage bonus. In fact, it was actually this exact tooltip here in PvE, where it would do 50% more damage and then 10% less damage you'll take whenever your pet's unleashed. So majority of the time pre-patch, what I did is I would play it my pet being unleashed in open world, and just kind of unleashing myself to just use some of the ambush skills, or use some CCs on my pet and all that. But other than that, nowadays how I play it is I'm unleashed most of the time. I swap to my pet being unleashed, quickly use all of the skills to go back to myself, use the ambush skill, and then I just kind of repeat and do my normal rotation like that. That's usually how I play nowadays. So what really matters for me is the core skills of the pet. So yeah, we're just going to be going in order here of all the families, just in terms of order of these, and just kind of talking about which ones are going to be the best to run. So the Moa family overall is really, really terrible. I wouldn't really recommend using the Moas. The red Moa is pretty good if you have it on swap, because it can heal you, which I did actually hear was the Harmonic Cry ability was actually bugged. It does like a pulse heal of like 1,000 something instead of just healing you for full, which is really annoying. I haven't actually really tested it yet, but yeah, that's a thing. The red Moa just does painfully low damage. It just is not good really at all. So yeah, I wouldn't bother using any of the Moas. Yes, you can give yourself Fury, but the thing is, you could do that to a permanent extent on the Tiger pet, which we'll be going over later. As far as bears go, these are excellent for solo like tankiness, but otherwise I wouldn't really recommend using them, as they do get very outclassed in terms of tankiness by the Jacaranda. And that the Jacaranda is very tanky. It's not quite as tanky as the bears, but it does a hell of a lot more damage, and it's still a very tanky pet for literally everything in the entire game. You always have a pet swap too, which if you're running the Beastmaster 2 line like myself, it's literally only a 15%, it's a, what is it? 15 seconds. Goddamn, I'm so used to talking about percentages and stuff. It's a 15-second swap time, is assuming your pet doesn't completely die. So yeah, pretty cool. But bears, I wouldn't really recommend using any of them. If you're gonna use a bear, I think the brown bear is probably gonna be the way to go, just because of the condition cleanse here. But yeah, don't use bears, please. they're very much like a leveling new player sort of pet, and they don't have any sort of use at level 80 at all. In fact, I would argue for leveling, drakes are actually a much better option, which we will be going over in a bit. As far as the felines go, I guess technically all of them are really good, because they all kind of have the same skills except their beast skill. And the only one that really has like an exceptional beast skill to me is the lynx and the tiger. The lynx just does a lot of damage on its beast ability here, and it also looks really cool too. It has these two other abilities that are really high damage. So yeah, it's super nice. I actually really like the lynx, just because of it does a lot of damage. So yeah, but you have to press 3 buttons, which it can be kind of a pain, because you have to micromanage your pet to an even greater extent, considering Bite and Maul are on pretty short cooldowns, especially Bite. So yeah, that is something to mention. But I made a video yesterday basically saying, hey, get your keybinds in check, because it makes things a lot more comfortable on the Ranger, because you're gonna be on the Untamed, because you're pressing a lot of buttons. So yeah. Just a reminder, none of these pets currently scale off any of your stats, just for any of the new players out there, so you don't have to worry about that. They're all kind of just individual. They scale based on the level that is in the zone, or your level rather. So yeah, if you're getting downscaled to, if you go to like Queensdale or something and you're level 80 and you get downscaled to 15, your pet will also get downscaled. But yeah, that is something to mention. But other than that, the cats, the tiger is good, because like I said, you could provide permanent fury to yourself. I also really like the white tiger. The White Tiger is pretty solid. Where the fuck is the White Tiger at? Oh, it's right there. The White Tiger is really good. It's basically a defensive sort of version of the Tiger, and that you can give yourself Aegis, which you have actually no other application of Aegis at all on the Ranger, from my knowledge. There's literally no way to get it. So it is nice to have that. In fact, in most classes in the game, there isn't even a way to get it. I think the only class it has access to is the Guardian. So it's nice to actually have it on here. Give yourself Aegis as well as your pet, so this makes your pet a little more tanky. If you know a big hit's coming, do that. Maybe your dodges are off cooldown or whatever. But yeah, it's just nice just for defensive play. But I think the main reason why I like the White Tiger is because of its Shadow Step skill. This can make it so it can, you know, go through to a target really quickly and immediately attract its attention. It also just looks really cool, sounds really cool, and it also has a 5 target cap as well. So we'll go ahead and show that off. I'll just press this, and as you can see, it does that, and it'll hit 5 targets, and it does bleed damage to all of them. As you can see, it's stacking bleed on all of them, which is very, very good. And yeah, it's very, very nice. I do really, really enjoy it. I actually forgot to go over the auto attacks of all these pets. That's my bad. I'll go ahead and do that right now, just let me get back here. Oh my Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, this is my least favorite part of all this shit. Having to run all the way back here, and then all the way back over to the golem again. Fucking hell. Because people are just constantly fighting in this PvP zone, dude. I can't fucking... You know what? Let's go over here. No one's going over here, so let's just do that. I'll mention if it does have AoE or not. Get back over here, pet. Get back over here, please. Oh, shit. Shift 2. There we go. Okay, he's gone. Thank God! Okay, so, we'll go back here just to get that fucking spell effects off the screen. So the auto attack for cats will actually apply vulnerability as well as actually do a good amount of damage, which is nice. The bears have a really shitty auto attack. It's just like a hit them. It does nothing else. Same thing with the MOAs. They just do like really, really bad auto attacks. But yeah. So moving on to the next one, we're going to be having some exotic pets here. The Bristleback is probably going to be your best option for range damage because the Siege Turtle's bug. Once a Siege Turtle gets patched, well, hopefully one day, it'll be good. But you know, you got it's got a range like what it was, 1200 range, pretty decent auto attack, as well as a rain of spikes here, which will kind of shoot these fucking missiles, basically these spikes to like all nearby foes. So you can see, I mean, it has in a fucking extreme radius there. I mean, that's crazy. When it says all nearby foes, it will literally do all nearby foes, and there is no target cap too. So actually, when I like to use this is for when there's a fuckload of enemies coming in like a world boss event and shit. So you know, like Monir Olgoth, you have the pre-event where you have all the centaurs coming and shit. That's actually a really good one to have there because you could hit everybody. So yeah, Bristleback is very nice. You could also apply bleeding with it. Then you have this one, which is really cool, Spike Barrage, which will basically just shoot a ton of missiles at it, dude. It's really cool. It's a really, really cool attack. And it's also on a pretty short cooldown as well, which is very, very nice. So yeah, the Bristleback is a great ranged pet. If you want to keep your pet out of danger. Although most of the time in PvE environments, it's very rare for your pet to completely die. Unless if it's really like tanking and you're like soloing like a fucking champion or something. It's pretty rare for your pet to die just because of its AoE resistant and stuff like that. But I just wanted to mention that. Okay, next is the Siege Turtle. This is also a ranged pet. I don't really like this pet. It feels really off, right? Because it's supposed to be a ranged pet, but then it has 2 melee abilities for some reason. It has a CC, which is a launch. It actually does a lot of Defiance Break there. And then it has a bleed there as well. Now, I use these abilities to, whenever I'm using the Siege Turtle, which is pretty rare, sometimes what it'll do is sometimes it'll just face away from the target, like that, and it'll literally do absolutely nothing. Let's see if he... Yeah, as you can see, I did the attack order, and it's doing nothing, right? But if you want to make use of it, you could just save these 2 abilities right here, and just click that, and he'll go to it, and then you'll start doing the auto attack. Now, the auto attack's really cool. It has a 5 target cap, and it's a pretty generous blast radius. And there's 2 golems in one there for some reason. I don't really know why. Is it always that way? But yeah, you know, it's got a bleed there and a knockback, and then its beast ability is being able to deploy a sort of barrier shield that blocks projectiles, and will grant you protection, pulsing protection, as well as your allies, which is super, super nice. And yeah, it's a really cool pet. I do like the siege turtle in terms of the looks. There's definitely a lot of people using it just because of like how cool it is to have a siege turtle with you as your pet. Like that's really awesome looking. So yeah. Moving on, we have the hounds. Now, not a fan of the hounds personally. They don't really go. They're sort of like a jack of all trades sort of pet. So you know, the fern hound's probably going to be the best one to go with here. So you have a cripple here, so a soft CC effect. You have a okay it's not a good auto attack. What am I saying? You have a knockdown here as well, and then you have your beast ability where you can on the fern hound in specific to regenerate nearby allies and heal them and shit. And it's a 5 target cap there. So yeah, I mean, if you want to use a hound, I guess this is the way to go, like a dog. But does this look like a fucking dog, dude? No. That looks like a weird fucking radioactive dog from Fallout. Like, that looks really stupid. It's like if dog meat was actually affected by the radiation. So, yeah. I mean, other than that, though, are there really... I mean, I guess the wolf is pretty good, right? Because you can get access to fear, which typically is a necromancer sort of specific boon. But you'll see with this class, we have a ton of different of those kind of abilities that normally, like, one class has, which is really cool. But yeah, these are sort of just like jack of all trades pets. However, we will see another pet, which is kind of a jack of all trades pet, that is going to be a lot better. Smokescale. So yeah, the Drake family. I'm a huge fan of the Drake family. I really enjoy him. You could pick whatever fucking Drake you want. That's the beauty about the Drake family. You could pick whatever one you want. But to be specific, Salamander Drake is going to be your best option for single target damage, as it does, you know, its fire breath attack does a lot. And then the other abilities that it has is Bite, which does pretty low damage, but the thing is with it is that it can cleave targets. This is great for all the targets getting, or also 3 target cap, but it's great because it has a really generous radius, as well as being able to sort of cleave the targets and get their attention and stuff like that, which is super nice. Then you have Chomp here, which is basically just like the regular attack, but it just does more damage and it heals the Drake. And then we have Tail Swipe, which is a very big damaging ability, and will also do a blast finisher. So this is really cool about Untamed. So let's get the Drake on him. In the Unleash form, we have a poison combo field here, so I could use that, and then switch on over, and then use my Tail Swipe, and it didn't do. Oh no, it did weakness. So wait, no, it didn't do anything. What the fuck? All right, I thought it would actually do something. All right, that's some bullshit. Alright, well yeah, Drakes are great for AoE damage. They're a great mix in open world content for AoE and single target damage, so this is going to be a great pet for just open world content as a whole, because it just does everything pretty much besides like hard CC. But yeah, it's fucking awesome. I really like it. The Marsh Drake is a great single target AoE hybrid sort of thing, because you could, you know, poison damage here, and it has 3 targets, and it seems to hit like cleave better from what I'm seeing with the beast ability. But I don't know, maybe I'm just being an idiot. The only one you don't really want to use is going to be the Ice Drake. It chills nearby foes, which is nice, I guess, but it just isn't as effective as the other ones that you're using. River Drake is great, as well as the Marsh Drake for single target and AoE kind of combo, because Lightning Breath is awesome. So this ability can actually hit like 5 targets technically. So let's go over here real quick. I want to show it off over here, because it does a lot. Like, it does a lot of shit. So we'll just use the ability here and just watch how much targets this shit hits. Oh, wrong one. Watch how much targets this hits. Boom, 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 boom. It's like bouncing between all these targets and stuff. It could also bounce between if a certain, like a single target enemy has multiple hitboxes that are relatively close to each other. Pretty rare scenario, but if it does, it can technically go onto those as well. So moving on, we have the Wraith Drake here, which can apply Confusion, which is nice because Confusion's a really cool boon, because, you know, it does a bit of damage, but it also does a lot of damage whenever an enemy uses a skill or attacks, basically. So yeah, it's really, really awesome, actually. Devours, I wouldn't really recommend using any of these. I'm going to take a sip of water real quick. Devours are never really used. I would never really bother using these really at all in any sort of content. Birds do a high amount of single target damage, They're not quite as useful as the cats, but they do more single target damage than what the cats do. The problem I have with the birds is that their abilities are on really low cooldowns, so you have to press them a lot. But they do a lot of damage, and we get vulnerability here. We get 2 stacks of bleeding here for 15 seconds, which does a lot as its beast ability. And what makes these really cool is that they're on such short cooldowns, so you could really dump in a lot of burst damage. As well as its third one here, doing Quickening Screech, which basically will grant swiftness to nearby allies. This could be really useful in, like World versus World or certain, areas where you need to move really quickly. So I actually really like running this, and there's that one fractal where you have harpies shooting at you, and you're doing like a jumping puzzle. I forget what it's called. But you're kind of doing these jumping puzzles, jumping on these holographic platforms and stuff, while harpies are shooting at you. And if you want to just run past it so you make the fractal quicker, like I like doing, you could actually pop this for swiftness here. And you and your allies will get swiftness to be able to move through it really quickly. Sometimes they'll cripple you, which is really annoying. But yeah, this is definitely going to be useful for allies that are on like classes that move really slow, so like Necromancer and Heavy Armors and stuff like that. That's really fucking annoying whenever that happens. But yeah, it's super cool. Other than that, for the birds wise, I wouldn't really recommend any of them. The eagle is really good, but the other ones are just kind of situational. Of course, you have the hawk, which is the same as the eagle, but yeah. The Phoenix, I would not really recommend this pet. Its auto attack is incredible. So it's basically the auto attack from the cats, but it does more upfront damage, which is really cool. But you also have this dash attack, which I hate these kind of abilities where it like charges the target and then it's out of combat for like a good 3 or 4 seconds because that's a run all the way back to the target. So we'll go and check this out. Yeah, it does that, and then because usually it actually go farther, but it's got to run back. So yeah, I don't really like that ability. It has the wing buffet ability, which you'll see on the Wyvern class of pets. And then it has this Gale Breath, which on paper seems like an incredible ability. But the problem is with the execution of it, look, it rarely ever hits the target you're wanting it to hit. Because it's just doing this big, sweeping sort of attack that is just really fucking annoying. I hate how it does that. So yeah, I mean, it would be good if there's like a ton of targets like this area. Like it would hit so many targets on this area, but this is just such a rare scenario for PvE. It's not really good. Jacaranda, I talked about this one before. It's a phenomenal pet for tanking. It's got a pretty good soft CC here with the you got the mobilize and vulnerability, some decent damage. You have a heal for your pet, as well as an extremely high damage Call Lightning ability here, which basically just your pet calls lightning, and I mean it does a ton of damage. It applies a ton of vulnerability. It's a really phenomenal pet, as well as having a very high damage auto attack that procs really often. Actually, he auto attacks very quickly. At least maybe it's like a placebo sort of thing, but just from what I've noticed. But yeah, the problem I have with this pet though is that it looks fucking stupid. It's basically a big ass bush. I hate it. It looks fucking stupid. That's why I don't actually use it too much, is because it just looks ultra stupid. So yeah, I don't ever use any spiders personally. They're not really that good. Same thing goes with the pigs. Don't use them at all. The Wallow is a really unique pet. It's actually a very cool pet. I really like this one. So basically, its auto attack will siphon health. So it's okay base damage, but it does siphon health, which makes it really good for that consistent tankiness. Then it has a really solid bleed attack here. And then it has this really cool AoE sort of combo field, this poison combo field, which is really cool. This kind of reminds me of the Merlot beast ability. So, that's how you say it, right? Merlot, right? Emit a noxious clause that poisons and damages foes. It's the same sort of thing here. But it's very cool. Its auto attack only hits a single target, which kind of sucks. I like the ones that cleave, but that seems to be kind of a rare scenario nowadays. But yeah, the Wallow is a really cool pet. I do really enjoy it. It's not really good for damage, but it's a cool pet. It looks really cool. It's tanky. It's pretty gimmicky. I don't know. I like it. I think it's cool. Moving on. Where are we at? That was the Wallow. Okay. Moving on to the Rock Gazelle. The Rock Gazelle is really good for crowd control damage. So you've got a launch here, which is really, really cool. It does a lot of damage too. Not in PvP, but in PvE it does do actually a lot of damage. Typically in PvP, the CC abilities don't really do much damage at all. Let's go over here actually, because that guy's really going balls deep on those guys. One of the coolest abilities on the Rock Gazelle is this sort of kick attack, which will do 3 target cleave, as well as actually do a lot of damage and apply some vulnerability. It actually applies 5 stacks, so if you're using marksmanship, you have the opening strike, that's like an immediate 10 stacks of vulnerability. You can get up to 20 immediately because of the fact that the opening shot counts for you, and then you could use Maul, or you could use the rapid fire here and technically get it up to 25, which is really, really cool, like right away, which is really, really awesome. So yeah, I really, really like the Rock Gazelle. It's super, super nice for crowd control. It also looks really, really cool, and it's also got a daze here as well. I forgot to mention that's got a daze, a knockdown. It's got a decent auto attack too, and yeah. Another great pet for crowd control is the Electric Wyvern. This one, in my opinion, is a little better. You got a knockback here, you got a launch, and then you got a cripple. So cripple synergizes very, very well with the Predator's Onslaught ability here, or trait line, or trait, not trait line, where you and your pet will do more damage to damage or enemies that are disabled or movement impaired. Which of course cripple does count as that. What's very, very cool about the lightning assault ability is it will cause a combo field, so you can you could use a finisher. I'm not sure. Does this count? Yeah, area swiftness. That's pretty cool. So yeah, it does count. It's a lightning combo field. Very rare thing. I think this is the only lightning combo field you can get on the Ranger is through the lightning assault here. And yeah, also to mention, this thing's basically a mini dragon. So if you like that, I mean, personally, that's why I run it a lot of the times. Now, another reason why I run it is because of its auto attack. Its auto attack is similar to the Drake's in that it cleaves, but the thing is with this pet is that it does have CC abilities, both Wyverns do, as well as doing more auto attack damage than what the Drake does. Now, its total damage, in terms of its burst damage, isn't going to be as good as what Drake's do, but its auto attack is actually much better. And it does some CC. So these are really, really good for that. This actually technically has a 5 target cap from what I've seen, so let's actually have it attack him. So as you can see, I'm hitting multiple 5 targets here. It would be hitting 6, but it has a 5 target cap. It doesn't say that. It has a radius to it. So yeah, it's a really, really nice pet. It just does a lot of different things, and it's really fucking cool. Electric Wyvern is definitely my favorite one out of all of them, but yeah, let's move on to the coolest pet in the entire game, in my opinion, which is the Fire Wyvern. Dude, this one, oh my god, it's such a cool pet. Can you swap to the Fire Wyvern? Oh, it's on my second slot, that's why. I was like, what the fuck? The Fire Wyvern is such a cool one. Meet Alduin, man. This guy is a fucking badass. It's got the same abilities as what the Electric Wyvern has, but it's got the coolest looking skill, in my opinion, in the entire game. This is the coolest skill in all the classes in the game. It's an incredible looking skill. Consuming Flame. This will basically lay down a big ass burning sort of circle, and as well as eventually apply a fire combo field. So look at this. He goes in the sky, does this really cool looking attack. I mean, look how cool that shit looks, dude. And then it does a decent amount of bleeding or burning damage. Dude, it's such a cool fucking pet. I just love it for Untamed and Ranger as a whole. I mean, it's such a cool looking pet, and it just does this really cool beast attack. And in my opinion, that's worth it alone over the Electric Wyvern. I mean, yeah, you won't get as much CC damage, but you will get a little more just damage out of it. So, yeah. All right, we got 2 more pets to go. Holy shit, this has been a 24-minute video, man. Holy fucking god. Smokescale. This is a really good pet. I was talking about this when I was talking about the Hounds earlier with the sort of capability of it and how it does a lot of different things. So you get a combo field smoke here, which could basically stealth allies, and you could do blindingness or blindness on the physical projectiles and stuff, which is a very, very easy thing to get on the Ranger. It could do the Smoke Assault ability, which basically is a good AoE sort of cleaving ability, and also grants the pet some might, which is really cool. This is really awesome for sticking to a target as well when it's moving. And then we got a knockdown here. Now, I will mention its auto attack is pretty piss poor. It does really low upfront damage as well as doing bleeding attacks over time. Yeah, it's pretty piss poor. I've done a lot of testing with auto attacks on pets. This one's like one of the worst ones, but it's very consistent, I guess you could say, in terms of the damage. In terms of the damage it does. But it's kind of gimmicky. But if you want like an all-around good pet, this is actually a really good one. Now, the best pet in the entire game. You're probably wondering, what's the best one to run? Open world wise, you can kind of run whatever you want. But for endgame content, the best option, the most optimized option, is the Juvenile Iboga, which I have named Big Damage. It's Big Damage for a reason. It's absolutely fucking phenomenal. So you have two abilities here, which are pretty good. So you get some Torment, some Confusion, as well as some Confusion on here, which is nice. You get a CC, you get a pull on here. But what makes this pet so fucking good is the fact that its auto attack is just incredible. So why is the auto attack incredible? So not only does it cleave targets, so I'll show this off here. It cleave targets, which is nice. It does more damage depending on how many conditions are on the target. This is phenomenal for group play because you're gonna have Condi damage doors. You're gonna be having a lot of Condi damage on a target. It will fucking dump damage. I've done testing on Arc DPS. Out of all of the skills that I use, the one with the most amount of total damage that I see every single time I'm on like a world boss or like a strike mission will always be this pet auto attack, which is fucking insane. And really what makes this amazing too is on those scenarios where you have a ton of Condi or conditions on the target, even the max amount, you never really have to use the other abilities. You could use this for a CC, but the other two abilities are only really a small damage increase. They don't really do a whole lot more in the grand scheme of things because of the fact that your pet's going to be doing insane damage. So yeah, the Iboga is your best in slot for that. I will mention the Iboga is not a good pet for solo play and open world stuff because it's just not tanky at all. It has barely any health. It's like, I think it's like 27,000 in PvE. It has very low toughness in PvE. It's just not a good pet for that. But when you're trying to get a high damage pet, this pet is fucking phenomenal. It's going to be the best pet if you really want to squeeze out as much damage as you possibly can with the Untamed or the Ranger. In general, besides the Soul Beast, of course, because you can just merge on the Soul Beast. But, yeah, that's going to cover it. That is the pet video. All of the pets in the game. What are the best pets on the Ranger? Or the Untamed specifically, we talked about that. But this can apply to like Core Ranger and maybe Druid as well. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, peace.